Tonight on Debate Amongst Friends, Doc and Prov go over the tournament as it continues from the round of 64 to 32. Now we're into the Sweet 16. As the NBA playoffs also round up, some teams are rolling high and some people are rolling ankles. We'll definitely go over those injury ridden teams and more starting now.
Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome to Debate Amongst Friends live on YouTube. Tonight is March 21st, 2018. This is the 96th edition of the Sports Podcast. We're happy you decided to join us on this Wednesday evening. I am your host and moderator, the Professor John Gotti. And always by my side, never clashing in styles, but he'll definitely phenomenally forearm you. It's Doc Ocean. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. I hope you are.
I mean, dare I say I'm feeling phenomenal?
I think that's a good feel. I would almost say yes, yes, yes.
I mean, it's almost marking out worthy.
Almost makes you want to duke it out.
I mean, speaking of duke it out, we have a lot to talk about tonight. We have to talk about March Madness. I mean, it was just sizzling in our veins until it basically clogged up our arteries and killed us because a lot of people's brackets died this past weekend. But before we let ourselves get started, tonight we have, as you mentioned, Duke It Out, the host of Duke It Out. It is the Duke. How you doing tonight, sir?
I am good, man. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing pretty good. We're live. There's no chance that's what you got of possibly making mistakes, and I'm ready to roll.
Word.
I'm doing well, and I'm so ready because my bracket still has hope.
Well, I guess I'll start it. The madness is upon us. The first two rounds are now in the books. We had depression, we had shocks, we had upsets, we had classic games for the ages. Gentlemen, what did you think of the first weekend of the NCAA College Basketball Tournament of Champions?
The one thing I'll say is that salt must have been on sale this week because I saw a lot of it pouring out of a certain fan base. Uh,
Be extra careful with your next statement.
I mean, hashtag Salt Bay.
Oh no! No! They're listening, sir.
Good.
No! Oh no!
So, all right. Let's really look at it. So many number ones have fallen at this point. Not just number ones. Excuse me. So many favorites have fallen at this point. Um, it's just been really ridiculous. That's why I'm just happy to hold on and can say that a lot of these upsets that did happen, were predicted right here on Dr. Wednesday Night's Bracket.
Yep.
So I'm pretty happy about that.
I'm still okay. I mean, granted, I'm not gonna win the bracketing amongst
No.
friends.
You actually
Competition, but
picked the team with the saltiest fans, actually.
oh, what you mean UNC? Because I didn't pick them.
Oh no, that wasn't you. That was the that was that other guy. Well, your team. Please explain your pick.
Could we say it
Explain
was
your
a
pick, though.
I mean, could we say it was a dumpster full of salt when they
It
lost?
was.
Like it was
So I
terrible.
mean, explain your pick though. I mean, what
I
was the
mean,
philosophy? Because I know what my philosophy was behind, who I picked and how I
well,
picked.
of course, because you're a Dookie.
No, no, no. Let me
But
tell
I
you,
know,
that
I
is
know, there's
not
more.
true. I resent that. I resent that. That is not true. That is not how I got to the conclusion. I could see UNC made it because of that, but that is not true. I picked this based on defensive lineups and the matchups, the statistics. I was a data analyzing ninja, so to speak. So I resent that.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you still said that though. Mine was more based off of power schedule. Some of
See,
the teams that they beat during the season. Um,
so
as
versus
well
top
as just
five.
yeah, like instead of me just doing just top five dead or alive, and that's just off one LP.
P.
I
I
chose
get that.
Xavier. We lost. That's fine. Um, I'm not an Xavier fan per se at all, but I wanted to pick someone new.
Sure.
Sometimes you just want to give it a shot. Um, Otherwise, I would have picked a favorite like Duke or Villanova, but I just wanted to go something different. I had to take the risk, and we mentioned it while we was building our brackets that sometimes you gotta take those risks, and sometimes they work, other times you tilt out, and I tilted out. They still had a
So
pretty good tournament though.
so initially when I did a bracket, I thought I was doing it for bracketing, the bracket amongst friends. It just looks like I just did one practically on my own. So the one that I shared originally, which showed Gonzaga, I was like, oh my God, I'm almost done, because Gonzaga obviously almost lost in the first game. Um, but, I picked Gonzaga first. The second bracket I did, which shows debate amongst friends one. So I don't even know if you can see my debate amongst friends two or my Dr. Wednesday night two.
Yes, I can.
Um, you can. Okay. So my Dr. Wednesday night two shows the Gonzaga pick that I initially thought was going to be. Um, it's funny because I actually had, let's see, I mean, I had some of the upsets still, but I
Yes.
don't think anybody could have called that UMBC.
No one could have called that UMBC. In fact, only 10% out of everyone who built a bracket from all different walks of life had UMBC beating the top overall seed, University of Virginia.
And it's interesting. It was interesting to see, because they played a pretty strong basketball. They had a good strategy. They're very aggressive. They're very confident, and that's really, really big. And they went confidently into the second game as well. But I guess a lot of people felt the same way as a team like Buffalo, Loyola College.
Loyola College of Chicago, to be exact.
I mean, my goodness. And at one point, I thought, Lipscomb was looking pretty strong
I wasn't
against.
really too worried about them. I'll be honest.
I mean, so when watching the games, and I think this is big, you know, I've never been a huge college basketball fan, but since moving to the great state of North Carolina, where there's a plethora of college basketball teams to root for. And it just so happens that a young man named Luke Kennard played at Duke and caught the Doc's eye, as well as Jason Tatum, enough to get the Doc to commit to Duke with the support from Coach K himself. That was the only reason that I chose the Dukies. The only other person that would have made me choose UNC, we've trolled for the last 2 years, and that was Harrison Barnes.
Who you said was definitely a max contract player. You've been on
Hey,
record
anybody,
on this. We could check the tapes. You've been on record saying that.
anybody can be a max contract player, including Jerome James.
Chris, we're gonna cut the show early today.
But with anybody being a max player, anybody could win the championship. And I know I posted a picture, with Stephen A. and the guys basically asking, was this good for college basketball for the number ones and the top seeds to be losing to the likes of UMBC and Loyola College?
Yeah, but they make it sound like it was like every single number one seed. Like it's only two.
I think it wasn't just the number one seeds. I think it was just the higher seeds. So you had
Yes.
Cincinnati lose, Um, I think, yeah, Tennessee went down. Um, I mean, a lot of the ones, twos, and threes are starting to fall. So I guess to them, they're just like, well, what the heck, I mean,
Hmm.
I'm losing a lot of people. Think about it. Syracuse went and beat Michigan State. I mean, that's not Syracuse's fault. They're actually a
That's
pretty
not.
good
Yeah.
program.
That their defense really helped them. It was 55-53. Like for Syracuse, if you could keep the game underneath 60 points, and J5, wherever he is out there in Twitterdom and Facebook land, would
Mm.
definitely back me up with this case. But if they can keep the score underneath 65 points, they're going to end up winning.
I mean, hopefully I get an opportunity to troll J5. Trolling is, my business, ladies, and business is
Is
good.
good. I mean, the only other game from the round of 32 that both teams was under 60 points was the aforementioned UMBC versus Kansas State.
Right. I mean, and like I said, it's been pretty good defensively. I think this has been a great tournament. I can tell in the second half of the games, is where the stronger teams start to pull away.
Yes.
And that's where when you look at a game like UNC versus Texas A&M, where some people were saying that Texas A&M was a strong team, they just dealt with a lot of injuries, and they were supposed to be good. I don't think anybody, UNC fan or not, including myself, because I picked them to lose in the next round
Hmm.
to Michigan. I picked them to lose in the next round to Michigan.
Hilarious.
I think that nobody expected them to go, you know, cold as ice out
It was
there.
cold-blooded. 86-65. I mean, and,
I
and I think
mean,
the worst part is like, and not to interrupt you, sir, but the worst
no,
part is when the higher seeds lost to the lower seed. No, we're talking higher seed 1 to 5. When they lost,
right.
it wasn't just a loss; they got beat.
Except for Loyola beating Tennessee at the buzzer, I can agree.
Yes.
I can definitely agree. But it was so good though. These games are so good, and I think one of the best games that I've seen so far. And I can't even say the whole game. I only caught the second half of it. Cincinnati versus Nevada.
That was a very good game. I will agree with
Uh,
you.
I think that Cincinnati had them exactly where they wanted them, and they let them off the hook. And if you want to crown Nevada, then
Crown him.
crown them.
I see what you did there.
But definitely looking forward to the Sweet 16. I actually expected it to be. All right, let me go back because I picked a lot of upsets, like a lot of upsets. I think my bracket was full of upsets. I expected Davidson to be playing Buffalo instead of Kentucky,
Hmm.
in which I would have expected Kentucky to already be out of the whole tournament. So I'm surprised that they're still in it because they were struggling for a while.
They were, but I mean, I had them going all the way to the Sweet 16, so I'm pretty good there. Granted,
I mean,
it's going to be a very interesting game against K State, but
yes.
I mean, I had them at least going to the Sweet 16.
So I think the only team that I have that's still, like I said, the only teams I have left,
Mm-hmm.
Villanova, Purdue,
Mm-hmm.
Duke, of course,
Of course.
uh, Kansas, Clemson, and Gonzaga. Oh, as well as Michigan. I mean, that's it. I mean, um, it's gonna be rough, coming down to the Elite Eight,
Mm-hmm.
on this bracket. Like really, really rough, and I'm interested to see how this plays out.
I mean, two of my Final Four team is gone. So, I mean, well, actually, three of my Final Four team is gone because I had Michigan State make it to the Final Four.
And I'm trying to understand that because I know Charles Barkley. Oh, Charles Barkley, your whole bracket, just throw it in the
Now
trash.
that bracket was funny. Wow.
Ironically,
I,
ironically, two of my Final Four participants are going to UVA and UNC. Actually, UNC in this bracket on my doc one here was in the Final Four, where in my doc two they were losing in the Sweet 16.
mm,
Um, so Duke and Purdue actually are in my Final Four. Of course, that's what leads to Duke
yep.
basically going to the championship. But you think about it, if they're not playing UVA or UNC and they're playing, the likes of, a Florida State or Gonzaga or somebody like that, I mean, I still like their chances to win, fan or no fan, because Marvin Bagley's trying to take over the whole league and try to get that number one spot.
No doubt. So let's talk Sweet 16. Sweet 16 action starts tomorrow. We got some games. We have K State versus Kentucky. We also have the Cinderella team, Loyola Chicago against Nevada, who's been red hot, as we both mentioned. Then we have Florida State versus Gonzaga, and the final game, Michigan versus Texas A&M. Gentlemen, who you got? Let's start off with K State versus Kentucky.
I mean, if Kentucky's made it this far, I don't think Calipari's gonna, let them slide or slip. I think, he must have found the right formula. And it's so funny because I just finished reading his book, and it was very interesting to see. Basically, it's called Coaching from the
Mm-hmm.
Inside Out. Good book. I found it at the dollar store a year or two ago, actually, and I just got
Wow.
finished. Yeah, it was pretty terrible, but it was a good find for me. Yeah, I was pretty happy with it. But yeah, it's called Coaching from the Inside Out. Basically, goes over his strategy, his beliefs, his practices, religion, the works, and reading it, I can see how people don't like him. How he's kind of the poster child for the one and done. Um, but I think his team this year is a little different because they aren't as high valued as like DeMarcus Cousins and
John
Anthony
Wall,
Davis,
Anthony
John
Davis.
Wall. Yeah,
Exactly. Yep.
yeah, like these guys aren't those guys. So it's gonna be interesting. But I'm picking Kentucky without that ranting.
Duke, who you got?
Let's see who you got.
I honestly I'm gonna give that one to Kentucky too. And this is complete Charles Barkley bracket. I'm just going down the numbers, but I'm gonna give that one to Kentucky. I feel like they can pull it out. I feel like it'll be close, but they can pull it out.
Gentlemen, I've learned something this tournament that I'm gonna take with me for next tournament and tournaments beyond. Sometimes you gotta ride with the defense. I'm gonna go K State. I wanna go Kentucky, and Kentucky has a pedigree history of making it to the Elite Eight. but they also have a rich history of blowing it in the Sweet 16. So I'm gonna give K-State a chance, and I'm gonna go K-State.
And I can definitely understand that. I think that both coaches are great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's what it's going to come down to. But I think I don't know. I just think that
Well,
Kentucky's going to
Kentucky
win
has
it.
the firepower, of course, but
They,
I mean,
but
if
you're
it
saying
turns
they're
into a
choke
low,
artists.
I mean, all teams have a history of doing that. I mean, if you really
Hopefully,
want to
my team
be
doesn't. I don't want to go
analytical
there.
about it, but
I don't want to go there.
I mean, I just have to go against the grain here, and I'll go K-State.
I have
Just
too much
because
at stake.
this is upset madness.
I think we've had enough, though. I think at this point,
We're gonna
anyone
have
who's supposed to win,
we're gonna have one more.
and who do you think that is? This isn't really upstate a 9 over a 5. I mean,
It's
we'll
not
get
really
to
an
it, I
upset.
guess.
No, it's not really an
Yeah.
upset though. So let's go to the next game. The Cinderella team, Cinderella Man, Loyola Chicago, versus the Wolfpack, Too Sweet Nevada. Who you got, gentlemen?
I'm going Nevada.
Same.
I think what I saw from Nevada at the end of that Cincinnati game, there was a poise and a confidence that you rarely see in certain programs, and it was almost NBA like.
You
And
took the
these
words.
shots,
You took the words right out of my mouth because I'm also gonna go Nevada here. I believe it was the dean of students. I've completely forgot her name, but I apologize about her name. But she said that they will lose in the Sweet 16, and you know what? Sometimes you just gotta follow the old lady. I'm also going Nevada.
boom.
Next game, gentlemen. Florida State versus Gonzaga. Who you got?
That's a tough one.
Look, blind faith. I'm gonna give that one to Gonzaga.
I think I'll stick with my original bracketing. I had Gonzaga. And this is where I had Gonzaga. In this one, I had Gonzaga losing to UNC in the Elite Eight, but Gonzaga replaces UNC in my Final Four.
Hilarious. The shade. I'm also gonna go with Gonzaga. So far in the tournament, they're one of the highest scoring teams out there. Florida State got 67 points the first game, 75 the second game. I don't think that's gonna be enough. They're gonna have to, show a little bit more scoring ability to be able to match up with Gonzaga. I feel like Gonzaga has a really good history with their forwards, and I think they're gonna give Florida State's defense a lot of trouble. So I'm gonna go with Gonzaga.
Good choice.
The last game for tomorrow's tournament of the 16 of Sweet. We have number 3 Michigan versus number 7 Texas A&M. Gentlemen, who you got?
I don't know. Michigan barely got past Houston.
How about the Pulitzer playing at A&M, right?
Yeah, Texas A&M. I mean, Texas A&M was so strong against UNC, but Michigan, they really just won that Houston game by, the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Texas.
It's rough because I had UNC right here beating Michigan. It would have been so easy. But because I put Gonzaga replacing UNC, maybe Michigan replaces UV. No. That's TRA. Wait. Um, dang, this is tough. What you got, man? I don't even know.
I am so. Here's the thing. Texas A&M averaged about 85 points for both games so far. They got 73 and 86. So average about what 82. Let's just go around 82, maybe 80, 79, whatever.
Something like that.
Michigan averaged 62 and a half points. But other than their first game against Montana, which they laid a shellacking, it's like you said, that Houston game, scared a lot
Right.
of people.
Honestly,
Um,
with those stats that you just thought when you just said that, I mean, clearly I would go Texas A&M the way you just put it. Because that's how I chose my original bracket. I mean, who scores and the defense. And when you look at Texas A&M on the other side, they've held their opponents to 69 and 65. So,
respectable.
I mean, if Michigan's only scoring 60 to 61 and 64 points, then clearly they're not going to win this game if they can't score more than that. Can they score more than that? It's a question.
That is a better question. I was waiting for that question, actually.
I mean, can they? I don't know. I was really asking.
I mean, they both have the potential during the season. They average about the same amount of points, probably with a difference of 1 point something points. 1 point, I want to say 1.5 points between the two, with the advantage going to Texas A&M. Um, I don't know. It's hard. I gotta go with Michigan. My gut is telling me to stick with Michigan. I have a feeling that Texas A&M is gonna get cold. We know that they could score, but I mean, what happens when they get cold for 8 minutes? How are they gonna respond to that?
I mean, the question is a 60-point scoring Michigan team. What happens if they go cold?
They kind of already went cold the last two games, but they haven't necessarily exploded offensively yet. And this might be the game that we see Michigan explode offensively. This could just turn into a
Or,
shootout. We could have, a game that goes into the hundreds, for all we know.
or, or Texas A&M exposes them to the folks that don't know them.
Trash. All right, gentlemen. So Friday's game, because we're gonna blaze this one through real quickly. We have Villanova versus West Virginia. We have Texas Tech versus Purdue. We have Kansas versus Clemson. And we have Syracuse versus the Docs Dukies. Let's start off with Villanova versus West Virginia. Gentlemen, who you got?
Villanova.
Yeah.
It's literally unanimous. It's Villanova. This is not my shocker. The second game, Texas Tech versus Purdue. Gentlemen, who you got?
Purdue.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to give them that one.
I'm mostly going to go with Purdue despite the fact that they have one of their players injured. I believe he's out for the tournament now. They're trying to get him to play on Friday. So either or, I feel like they have a strong showing. I have them going to the Elite Eight on my busted bracket, so I'm gonna stick with it. So Purdue.
Hilarious.
Number 1 Kansas versus number 5 Clemson.
I'm gonna give that one to Clemson. And I say this only because they're the only team even close to any of my teams that are still in this.
I'm gonna stick with my bracket as well. I'm gonna go Clemson. I have Duke versus Clemson in the next round.
I have Kansas. They might be one of the most balanced teams out there. There's other teams still inside this bracket that's balanced too, but they're really balanced. Like, their victories have been at a comfortable margin. It's not like we just got out the skin of our teeth like a Michigan kind of thing. The last
Come in.
game. Number 11 Syracuse against number 2 Duke. Gentlemen, who you got?
You might as well go first so you can try to troll everyone that's a Duke fan.
Gentlemen, who you got?
Come on, let's see who you got. Come
I
on, we
have
want to
the
hear it. We want to hear
Dukies
it.
falling to the
Yes, we want to hear it.
Irishman.
We want to hear it. We want to hear it. Because I knew you were going to do that. You're the worst. We just beat them up a couple weeks ago. You're going to come back here and say that they're going to beat us. They couldn't stop. Marvin Bagley scored 40 points on them. Marvin Bagley, 40 points.
And it's for that very same reason that they're going to lock him up.
That means Grayson going to have 40.
They're going to be like, welcome to the Syracuse Penitentiary.
Wow. Wow. I really hope you eat these words.
I hope so too.
Again, I have Duke versus Clemson in the next round.
Yo, I think Prof might be smoking something. I don't know.
I'm hoping that that's what the case is. We were talking about Colorado before the show.
And I mean, look, believe me, I don't want to give it to Duke either, but come on, man. No. Just, yeah. I'm a go Duke.
I'm sorry, Doc. I have to. I gotta take those risks.
Sound like you channeled your inner J Rich.
You know what? He might have been just speaking in my ear right before I said it. It was like, I mean, I'm gonna pick Duke, pick Syracuse. Syracuse, crap. Darn you, J Rich.
Like he used a force on you across internet lines.
Oh gosh, that's actually pretty bad if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're all looking forward to the game.
Terrible
both
pick.
Thursday and Friday. we're all looking looking towards these games on Thursday and Friday. So let's stay on the hardwood, and let's talk about a coaching change that occurred. Former NBA superstar and all around pretty good guy, Penny Hardaway, is becoming a head coach, taking his talents out of the high school game and bringing it up to the collegiate level. He will be the new Memphis Tigers men's basketball head coach. Thoughts on this, sir?
I love it. I've loved it from the moment that I saw the news break. It's funny because I was watching ESPN. Oh, no. Take that back. I was watching Good Morning Football on the NFL Network. And one of the anchors said, "Oh, this is just like watching the movie Blue Chips, with Penny Hardaway and Shaq playing Butch McRae and Neon Badeau."
Oh my god!
And this is before Penny got announced. So the irony of the fact that he got announced a couple days later was great. But this is indeed Blue Chips, and I think he's the perfect coach. And we talked about this off screen. To recruit players from Memphis, from Tennessee, to keep them in the state.
Yep.
Away from the University of Tennessee and some of the other colleges. He's just won 3 high school championships in a row.
Memphis
I mean, if he doesn't get injured, he's a beast. I know we talked about that with Grant Hill a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Which, did we ever find out if he got into the Hall of Fame or Steve Nash?
Nope, we will be finding out at the Final Four.
Gotcha. Can't wait.
So that'll be next week.
Perfect. But I think it's a good hire. I know that you had some concerns, not so much with Penny, but with the situation with the previous coach.
And for me, it was just more of, we talked about certain coaches get put on a tight leash, and other coaches, they completely suck at their job, but they're, still employed somehow. Marvin Lewis. Man, drink that water. But Tubby Smith, who was the former head coach for the Memphis Tigers, was only there for 2 years and had a winning record for each season. So for me, like, I just find that part kind of odd. Like, it was very Lovie Smith-esque, in my opinion, that someone who has winning records, it got left out the door. And I totally agree with all your points about how Penny is great for recruiting. It's going to help rejuvenate the entire program, and possibly get them into the tournament. But we also talked about the other day as well, too. Look what Tubby had to go up against in that same division. Look at the teams. 3 of the teams are in the tournament. It's kind of hard to get into the tournament when there's 3 teams as good, if not better, than your team. That's the only argument I had about that.
So I think the one thing that's interesting, and you do bring up some good points, but I think it's the culture nowadays, because it's not just in basketball and college basketball, it's also in the NBA. I mean, look what happened, to David Blatt, and look what happened to, even Kevin McHale. I mean,
David
Mark
Blatt
Jackson
was in a losing situation as soon as that guy with the number 23 on his jersey returned.
I mean, but maybe Tubby was in a losing situation.
That is true. That is possible.
We just don't know. I mean, the one thing here it's saying in this article by CBS Sports, I'm just going to read a quick snippet here. Under the previous coach, attendance was at 16,000 for games at the stadium. Under Smith, the number dropped by 10,000. So, I mean, he wasn't bringing the people in the actual stadium.
Yep.
And maybe they just wanted a bigger name to actually fill the seats. Even if they're not winning, they might just want to fill the seats.
I mean, that sounds more of the boosters pushing towards this versus the good of the program then.
I mean, they want to win, but it seems like with this article is stating that they want to win and they want to fill the stadium.
Okay, then like I just want them to say it was because they wasn't winning because they were a 20+ win team.
So again, and this is just from one perspective, we don't know all that went on behind the scenes. Like, it could have been a matter of the athletic director wanting a player and, Smith not wanting the player. It could have been a number of things that happened in this situation. The crowd just being one of them. But if you look at it, if they believed that they had a team that could go into the tournament, if they had a different coach, I mean, that's where my Marvin Lewis rule would kick in. You get rid of the coach.
I agree.
You get 2 years. 2 years. I mean, I hate it because he didn't really get a chance to actually build a team or build a foundation. But I'm pretty sure Penny's going to go in there and people are going to follow him because he's Penny. Just like I would hope that people would go to Georgetown because of Patrick Ewing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what I'm hoping happens. I believe that Memphis will probably be a better team next year. And it's funny because we actually didn't put this up here, and maybe we were going to talk about this, but as Penny got hired, right before he got hired, Kevin Ollie got fired.
He did get fired. I put something out there too when that happened.
Yeah, we just and think about it. He was just recently removed not too many years ago from winning a championship, and
Yep.
he's out. So I know that they have some things going on, but when you look at the two scenarios, one person bringing a national championship to UConn and then a few years later being out. I mean, Tubby Smith had no chance in that type of environment.
And that's what you got.
No chance. Come
I
and
see
get
what you
it.
did there. But
But I
and the
mean,
reason for his firing was just cause. Like there was still no elaboration on why he got fired.
now would you rather have that or because attendance was slow?
Honestly, neither. Honestly, I mean, if the guy, if the head coach is pulling out 5-win seasons, yeah, absolutely, let the coach go.
But what perspective are you answering the question from?
Basketball analyzing data ninja.
So, if the guy's not winning to get to the tournament and he's not bringing people into the stadium, I mean, isn't
If
that a
it's
loss?
if it's both, then absolutely he should be fired.
I mean, technically it was both. They didn't make it to the
Hilarious.
tournament. I mean, even though he won the games, I mean, they just didn't make it. Let me tell you and of course this is just based on video game. You play a game, especially with college. There's always these goals that you have to meet. You know, you have to beat rivals. You have to beat. You have to be a certain percentage against top 25, which is what you used really to build your bracket. um, and if we're looking at the stats, my data analyzing ninja friend, if we're looking at the stats, there's a high chance that he just didn't stack up.
And he probably did. He probably did. He probably got a lot of his wins, more or less against the lower tier teams. All the non-conference teams, the lower tier programs. So I mean, when I think about it like that, absolutely. And once again, it's not saying that Penny shouldn't get the job because if anyone deserves it, it's Penny.
Absolutely.
I'm just trying to understand that why did they let go of a coach that had two back-to-back 20 plus win seasons? Like now you're basically firing him based off what the committee decided to bring other teams in, not so much of their own merit. That's the only argument I had about it. Other than that, I completely agree with you.
So overall, they went 21-13. You said right.
Hmm.
So I mean, one thing that jumps out right away is that they lost 8 conference games. I mean, that's big in college
That is very
basketball.
big. That's very big.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's you just can't do that. Can't play with them. Can't coach with them. You just can't do it.
Just can't do it. Can't do it, sir.
I mean, just think about it. I mean, when you look at teams, and this is a tough division. I mean, can I say I'm not sure who's on a Tulsa team that should be ahead of Memphis. I don't know who's on Tulsa. I can see why UConn fired, Ollie. I mean,
Hmm.
they went 7-11 in conference play. That's terrible.
Exactly.
But we're talking about, 10-8, and you're not bringing people into the stadium. Ollie might have been bringing people into the stadium. He just couldn't get them to win when he got there.
That sounds like a Chicago Bears situation when they let go their coach, who ended up having a winning record, just couldn't make it into the playoffs.
I mean, but the story never seems to end. So maybe Tubby Smith was just rubbing people wrong. I mean, maybe he was the David Blatt of NCAA basketball.
That is hilarious and bad at the same time.
I mean, it's possible. I mean,
It
maybe he was
is.
just, Maybe he was the Kevin McHale who didn't get along with James Harden because James
Oh
Harden was overweight
gosh,
and out of shape.
hilarious! And you said you didn't want to talk about the Houston Rockets.
I'm just saying. But I mean, Calipari did try to tell Smith that this is a different kind of job,
Yeah.
and it's one of those situations where, as I mentioned with his book, Calipari has a specific way of doing things, and in college basketball, it seems as though there is a specific way to do things and specific requirements, and Penny already meets most of those basic requirements, which was to have the image. And, Tubby Smith, although a tough coach, he's not bringing in the people,
He's not.
both fans and recruits. And I think Penny will do that. All he needs to do is bring out the shoes.
Just bring out the shoes, get a basketball in his hands, and cross the kid up real quickly. I mean, that's just hype by itself. That pays
It
for
really
itself,
is.
literally.
Yeah, it really is.
But let's switch gears from the collegiate level of basketball to the professional level of basketball. Let's talk about Ty Lue. What's going on with him, sir?
Well, I mean, like most of us, he's human, need to take a step away for health reasons. I mean, the being the Cavaliers coach has to be very stressful. When you think about it, I mean, you got to deal with really just managing the ultimate basketball diva god.
Diva God.
I mean, in Lebanon James, and now he's talking about he's had chest pains and other troubling symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only imagine that it's because he might lose LeBron, and this could be his final run.
It could, I mean, it could be his last standoff for Mr. James.
I mean, but coaching in general and being in this particular position, you know, night in and night out in the whole season, traveling, you know, I could see how stressful that could be. And, he's a pretty young guy, so it kind of stinks that he's having some of these issues. But in some cases, it kind of comes with the job. I mean, I think that's why Phil Jackson took some time away. In football, that's why Bill Parcells and several other coaches take, a step away from the game. Um, you got to take care of your health, and that just means Larry Drew needs to step up and let LeBron coach.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and when I put the article out there on our Facebook account, Debate Amongst Friends, on our group, Debate Amongst Friends, also follow our Twitter account, Debate Amongst Friends, I put Ty Lue stepping away, LeBron is now the new head coach. Well, I put the
I
head
think
coach.
I put wow because I was surprised that you weren't even going to give Drew a chance. And now that I think about it,
And, despite the fact that it may seem like I was trying to troll, I wasn't trolling.
mm,
I wasn't trolling. The Cavaliers are currently in a slide. And, I mean, now people are questioning their legacy. LeBron James' legacy. LeBron
I was about to
James.
say
LeBron James.
the Cavs don't really. I was about to say the Cavs don't really have a legacy.
Wait, the Cavs have a legacy?
Well, you had said it,
I know, but
and
I
then
was
you
saying that
said LeBron.
sarcastically still.
That's what I was saying. I was like, wait a minute.
Well, I was going to say,
GAS.
ha 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 ha, that's sarcasm, but kind of didn't say it quick enough. But, I mean,
Gotcha.
so currently, as of right now, the Cavaliers are the third seed in the East.
Uh-huh.
And I believe they'll be facing, what, the number 6 seed? Which should be the 76ers?
Yes. Which is going to be a great series.
Which is a series I don't think the Cavaliers want. because
They
the
don't.
process will overtake the king.
I think they'll try to either lose some games or win some games.
To a 7 game series in which the Cavaliers squeak out of it, but by the time they squeak out of it, they're done for the next round.
I don't. I don't think they can squeak out of that. They're going to try to either lose some games or win some games. I don't think you can squeak out of that series
They
because
got the veteran presence.
Tristan Thompson or anybody else on that team can guard Joel Embiid. And then when you got to worry about, you know, and that's hoping that Markel Fultz doesn't come back and play.
I don't even think they need Markel Fultz. They doing pretty fine without him.
And I said that they should even consider moving on from him at the end of the year. But honestly, he could be the difference maker in the playoffs. You know, the guy who kind of comes in and holds it together. You know, so that Simmons doesn't always have to run the point. It's going to be interesting. If I'm the Cavs, I don't want any of that either. And honestly, they might go extra hard just to make sure that they beat LeBron so bad that he joins them.
So LeBron basically pulls a Kevin Durant.
In a nutshell, yes.
So what I'm hearing right now is if LeBron James, Chris Broussard, LeBron James, Stephen A. Smith, goes to the 76ers, will he now be called a snake? Is that what I'm hearing? Will he finally get the negative feedback that's been eluding him since 2010?
I don't think so.
Then I don't care. I don't care then. Because if they're not going to give him the same kind of flack they gave KD when he went to the Warriors, then I don't care.
No one's gonna give him any flack because those people want us to give him flack.
Because the face of the league will be going to his third team in his career. Third team in his career. The king, his throne, the man from Akron, Ohio, the savior of us all for basketball, is going to his third team. Give me a break, ladies and gentlemen. It's high time that LeBron James get the negative feedback that began on his first year with the Heatles and ended as quickly as soon as the Mavericks whooped their butts.
And that's why I think that if they go up against a team like the 76ers, who are tough, I think their weakest player, in my opinion, is J.J. Redick. And that's another reason why I would want Markel Fultz to come back. But, I mean, I think J.J. Redick and Kyle Culver kind of cancel each other out. So it's okay.
And I just read that the Cavaliers managed to beat the Raptors after coming back. After they gave 79 points in the first half to the Raptors.
The Raptors are a weird team. I mean, this is probably going to be one of their last years together. I think eventually they're going to have to do a shakeup to beat mediocrity.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to most likely head into... I mean, it's 12 games left.
Mm-hmm.
For some it's 11. But it's 12 games left. This is the time where you're supposed to mark your stamp. This is when you do it. To get that momentum heading into the playoffs. Losing to teams that you could face in the playoffs is not the way to get that steam.
I agree. I definitely agree. I think that, it's definitely important. I think the seeding is important too. And a series like that could really, really... Because think about it like this. And I'll finish that statement. The Cavs, with LeBron there, have never had to really go to those 6 and 7 game series in the beginning of the playoffs. They've always gone sweep. Yeah, like,
Well,
but
yeah,
I
that
think
one
that
year
I
when I
think
called the fix was in. Yes, that was sweep, sweep.
I don't think that's happening with this Cavs team
No, they're gonna go 7. That's what I'm saying. They're gonna go 7 and then 7 again, and they're gonna be done.
because I and honestly I don't I'm praying that my Rockets make it, but even if it's a team, the top four teams in the West are so tough.
They are. I mean,
And
even
I
the top
like the fact that
5.
yeah, I like the fact that the East has become stronger since the Kyrie trade. I think bringing the Celtics back in, and I think that eventually another team is going to come in. But I like the direction that the Pelicans are going. Of course, the Milwaukee Bucks. Um, I like the fact that Anthony Davis is carrying the Pelicans to be a better team. So it's going to be an interesting playoffs to watch.
Wait, you said Milwaukee Bucks?
For what?
They're in the East.
I'm going back and forth. I
Oh,
said
okay,
Milwaukee
okay.
Bucks. I said
I was like,
Timberwolves. I was just saying different teams. Yeah.
okay, I thought we were
I
talking
even
about the
said
Western
Celtics. Did
Conference
you hear me
now.
say Celtics?
I didn't hear you say Celtics.
Now I'm curious to what you heard because I feel like we're breaking up again a little bit. Like Chris is just like playing with a button somewhere.
Chris, stop it. Stop it. Bad. Go ahead, sir.
But yeah, I just feel like the teams are getting better in the East, in the West. But it's going to be interesting to see. But I brought up the West because I'm not sure if even if the Cavs get to the finals, if they can get past any of the Western teams.
Yeah. I mentioned at the beginning of the season, the Thunder were going to end up being one of the top 4 seeds at the end of the year. They're not
What
number
was
4.
Qmart? Qmart say they would be number
6.
3, or he
6.
said 6. Oh, they're trolling him.
Which is possible because, I mean, there's 3 teams with a 41 win record, and
Mm.
the Thunder's only 2 games in front of those teams. So it can switch literally in a 3-game span.
So that's a team that I wouldn't want to play in the first round.
The Thunder?
I wouldn't want to play them. Even though we beat them once or twice this year, I wouldn't want to play them in a 7-game series. Even though, again, and I don't want to talk about the Rockets too much, but looking at the game last night and seeing our depth, at the forward position,
Mm-hmm.
how lengthy we are, how we can stretch the floor. I just feel like, we've found the mold that the Warriors used, and we've made basically a carbon copy where we can match up with them however they want to go. So if they want to go small ball, we can go small ball. If they want to shoot, we can shoot. I mean, it really just matters who's on and who's not on. Um,
I can understand that.
but
But it does lead me to a question. The people are ringing in my ears. They sent me a video earlier today where that pissant Stephen A. Smith, who wore probably one of the most tackiest outfits I've ever seen in my life, made Craig Sager's suits look awesome.
wow,
He
wow.
said that the Rockets are not the favorites to win the NBA championship. And then he had the gall, the absolute balls, to sit there and recite a Ric Flair quote. And he said, and I quote, "To be the man, Woo, you gotta beat the man." And the man is the number 2 seed Golden State Warriors?
Well, that's the
Black
thing. I mean,
motion.
and that's what I'm saying. I feel like we beat the Warriors this year. We've competed with the Warriors, and last year the Warriors. Honestly, this year the Warriors have become more human. I think they were a super team, but now they're starting to fall in that realm. Really, of where the Heatles, where the Celtics, where the Pistons, and the Lakers, where those teams start to cap out at their potential, and they might need to make some moves. I mean, the Warriors lost a lot of pieces when they got KD, and now it's starting to show now where everybody's kind of hurt. Even though they might be taking the Popovich, way of resting players, these guys might not really be hurt. It's easy for, KD to go for a layup and then grab his side. Oh, my rib is broken. Oh, easy for, Stephen Curry to run into the tunnel, and roll and say, oh, my ankle.
I see what's going there.
I'm just saying, like, it's easy to do that. But I mean, hey, Stephen A. Smith is going to always have his opinion. I think he believes that the Cowboys are a good team somewhere. So, I mean, who are we to, listen to Stephen A. Smith? Of course, I want the Rockets to shut him up and sweep everybody, but
And I said a very wise quote some months ago about your Rockets that is still holding true, and you're taking this to heart too, because normally you be like, we're the best, we're gonna destroy everyone, and no one's gonna stop us. But that quote, remember that quote?
Is that what I say?
You're laughing, but I'm also right.
Is that what I say? We're the best. We're not going to be stopped.
Whether you like it or not, woo! You are looking at the new champs.
I mean, I do expect us to win, though. I mean, I think everybody expects their team to win.
Not if you're a Knicks fan.
Wow. Maybe you guys need to change your expectations. I don't know.
Maybe we just need to change our owner.
That too. I'm talking to you, Dolan.
I'm talking to you, Dolan. Me and you, Dolan. Me and you. I'm calling you out.
Let's see what you got.
Let's see what you got. Let's see how much trash you are. DOL. Oh, wait.
Nope, I think that's right.
No, that's exactly right. That's exactly the way I like it. But you remember the quote I told you about, don't feed too much into your hype, because it can definitely affect you come playoff time. I mentioned that the Rockets are one of the best, actually the best team in the league in regards to offensive and defensive efficiency. They score a lot of points, but they also play really good defense. They have players, they have their wings that can defend 1 to 4, which is something that they didn't have before, and they have it this year with Trevor Ariza, who's still there. You have P.J. Tucker. You also have Gerald Green. You still got your big man, Clint Capella, should have been an all-star this year. They have the potential. They just have to keep it up. Consistency.
So, hey, we're going to go to the Warriors next, but I think the Warriors or the Bucks next. I think that we have, again, a great core of players. I loved the Gerald Green signing. I would have never expected him to come back in and really dominate the way he has. But when you look at what we did even last year or the year before last, when we brought Michael Beasley in, when we bring in these guys and, they give us that spark that we need. But I was really worried this year when we traded all those pieces away to the Clippers. I would have never imagined that Luke Mute would, come in on a cheap, $3 to $4 million deal. And then, we would be able to pick up Joe Johnson and all these other players, still not dealing Ryan Anderson to the Knicks. Those kind of deals, I'm just amazed at how, we've been able to shape the team. If we win, absolutely. If we win, I'm hoping that we'll be able to keep the nucleus together. I know Clint Capella is going to be due some money. Luke Mute is probably going to be due some money. Obviously Gerald Green and a lot of these guys. But I like the strategy though to find these players who can play the 3 to 5, 2 to 4, 1 to 3, so that James Harden's in the lineup. You can have Joe Johnson, Luke, Trevor Ariza, and Capella, or you can have PJ Tucker, Trevor Ariza, Eric Gordon, Luke, and Chris Paul. And you, although nobody's over 6'8", 6'9", you wouldn't even notice that there's not really a big man, aka used to be known as a center on the floor, because it doesn't
I
matter.
completely agree. Darren Moy did a great job of getting players that could fit a certain role on a team in a system that's more geared towards offense, but they come in with a good history of playing defense. And that's
This is
really
true.
what that X factor is.
I think Luke and PJ Tucker, those are big deals. Like, at first I was a little worried about more or less the PJ Tucker signing. But I mean, he's become a corner 3 specialist. He's a great defender. And again, I'm very happy with the direction of the team. I think what's going to happen in the playoffs is
Playoffs.
going to, yeah, it's going to really be more about the matchups. Um, and that's why I'm hoping that we don't go up against a physical team. I want to go up with some like a finesse team the first the first round. I would be okay going against Utah because they just have Gobert. The Derek Favors is there. We could deal with that. But if we got to go up against the Clippers or a team like the Thunder, or even a team like Minnesota, like I wouldn't want to play Minnesota in the first round.
I don't think anyone wants to play Minnesota. Like, they literally have the potential to
They
steal the
do.
show.
Can you imagine if they noticed their potential? Like they don't. They don't. They have no idea that they could be so good if they would just play the game rather than worry about who gets the touches.
They could literally be the
Um,
number 3 seed.
they could be, which we had them high, them and the Milwaukee Bucks. We had them ranked really high based on their roster, but right now they're just looking like paper champions.
Hey, no such thing as paper champions in the NBA. You either a champion or you're not the Rockets, right?
Wow. See, I didn't say that. I didn't say it.
I'm trying to
Um,
goad you to say it.
I'm not
But
saying it.
let's talk about
But,
the Warriors, though. I mean,
yeah.
their top 3 stars, 4 because Draymond's been aching now too, are down. I mean, what does this mean as we're now heading into the stretch? You mentioned it's a very Popovich approach to things because Steve Kerr is from the Popovich system.
Hmm.
Will they be ready for the playoffs?
I think they are ready for the playoffs. They're just taking a rest, legally taking a rest.
So basically, using certain circumstances that the league put into place so they won't be fined.
I'm only here so I don't get fined.
I'm only here to have to shell out almost $500,000 because I decided to rest my players.
So you got an ankle, you got a rib, you got whatever else really.
Which is funny because they literally kept talking about how Kevin Durant is nothing but skin and bones. Like, that's insulting.
I
I'm
mean,
pretty much the same frame as KD.
but just imagine being 6'10", 6'11" with that frame. I mean, I think they would say that you're actually obese compared to Kevin Durant.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm just saying.
But I'd be on the block just destroying people straight Shaq style, though.
Well, I'll say that to KD because he would just say that we suck.
I'm like, well, KD, if I'm your height and we pretty much have the same frame, I'm just gonna take it down to the block and elbow you in the ribs. Like, let's see how much
Wow.
they'll last.
Let's see
Bang,
what those
bang,
let's see what those
bang.
ribs got.
I'm like, oh, you can still breathe out your mouth? I haven't done it hard enough.
I'm just saying. I mean, it just depends. I mean, they could be hurt legitimately.
I think there's
Um,
some aching there, but I don't think it's as serious as people are claiming.
I believe that them resting is good. I mean, I believe also that Chris Paul might have hurt his hamstring yesterday, so I could understand a team wanting to rest their players with only 10 or 11 games left.
I could understand that. I could understand that.
But are they in trouble?
No,
Mm,
no,
no.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Only where they're in trouble is if Steph can't come back.
I will agree with that. They have a losing record whenever Steph isn't playing.
Yeah, I could say that if Steph's not playing, they have a hard time because when Steph's not playing, Klay Thompson takes more shots, and sometimes he's a little sketchy.
It's a little bit sketchy. There's a reason why he's the third wheel now.
I mean, it's weird. Oh, because I guess because of the way he shoots, it's always like it's almost like he's scared that somebody's gonna come out and try to block him, so he just kind of just throws the ball up really quickly.
I mean, that's not the worst case scenario. He could be worried about Bruce Bowen's doing a high kick on his face like he did to Wally World.
Wow, that's true too. That's
But we
true.
don't have stuff like that anymore. So I don't know what he's scared about.
I'm not sure either. I mean, the way he shoots, it's like it doesn't really matter if you're on him or not. I mean, he has the ability to knock it down, so it is always kind of weird. But
Yes.
I think they'll be all right. I think with if Steph and Draymond are okay, I think they should be good. But it's going to be a tough going for them because depending on who they're slated against, again, you don't want those tough games in the beginning of the playoffs. And that's where they're headed right now if they stay in that second, especially if they drop down to the third seed. Could you
I don't think they
imagine?
will. They won't.
Oh,
They
my
won't.
goodness. Ah, that would be so rough. But yeah, other than that, I think they'll be fine. No real worries. I think they'll be either in the Western Conference Championship or right before they'll be gone to
Yep.
the Houston Rockets.
I knew it. But our last subject for tonight, the Milwaukee Bucks. Speaking about them, um, are looking for a new head coach, and there are some candidates. Some that we like, some that might be questionable, some we may or may not like. Their candidates are Jeff Van Gundy, who is a analyst for ESPN,
hmm
Kevin McHale, former Houston Rockets skipper, and Coach Rick Pitino.
Mm,
And they also mentioned Monty Williams and David Fizdale as well, but those
yeah.
three that I mentioned before are like the top of the list. Thoughts on those?
So I think when it comes down to styles, it's interesting because Jeff Van Gundy hasn't coached in a very long time, so I can't really remember that Knicks style. Even when he was with the Rockets, I mean, I think looking at it, they had McGrady, they had Yao. I mean, I guess when you look at the Knicks, that makes sense that he would be a good fit there. McHale, obviously, I think McHale working with the Greek Freak would be interesting.
I think that would be generationally awesome.
I think that would be good. Um, I like Fizz. I don't like Monty Williams. I don't like that. I don't even know why we even think. I don't know disrespect to Monty, but we're
I
just
have to tell you what the
yeah.
people are telling me.
I see it. I see it. But I mean, David Fizdale. I would say yes to David Fizdale because any team that he goes to, they're at least going to be tough. Um, the only thing I don't like about Rick Pitino is that he brings all that Mary J.
Baggage.
Blige drama,
Yep. Mary Jane Blige.
from Louisville. Sorry. I feel like he brings that drama from Louisville with him. But Monty Williams, no. Fizdale, maybe. Jeff Van Gundy, McHale, Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson's name has not been around there though. His name so far has only been linked to the New York Knicks.
That would be the best thing that happened to the Knicks in the last 10 to 15
That'll be the
years.
only thing that'll happen in the past 5 years with the Knicks that make me smile.
But in regards to the Bucks, I probably would lean towards McHale.
I'll agree with that because their focal point is to try to retain Greek Freak in their roster.
Right.
Like, if they can't keep Giannis, then all this is for moot. So whatever coach that they bring in has to, deliver within that first year. High playoff seeding to elude the confidence to have Greek Freak sign an extension with the team. That's paramount.
And that stinks because it's so hard to keep players these days. What? Wow. Wow. I can't believe you just did that. It's so hard to keep players. So you think about it now. We talk about LeBron leaving. Imagine if Giannis leaves to go to a team like the 76ers. Where you got him, Ben Simmons, Embiid, Markelle Fultz, and Saric. Game over.
That's game over. Because now you have youth. You don't have to worry about LeBron playing only 2 years. That's youth.
I mean, just saying. Could you imagine?
Who actually Giannis left the game with the Clippers with an ankle injury. Just FYI.
Hey. Ankles happen.
I mean, just ask Steph Curry.
His ankle happens a lot. He breaks so many ankles that he breaks his own.
Many ankles that he breaks his own. Yes. But yes, I agree. Kevin McHale would be the best option for head coach for the Milwaukee Bucks going forward, and hopefully they make the right decision.
But if Giannis does leave, I mean, if Giannis joins any team, it would be kind of ridiculous. Just think about it. Just think of any team. Just throw a team out there and just think about it. The Jazz. Oh God, Giannis, Gobert, that Mitchell kid. I mean, it's gonna be, and then whoever they draft this year, it's gonna be ridiculous. Like, he goes to the Celtics, Kyrie, Tatum, Giannis. I mean, it's unfortunately, if he goes to the Cavs,
then LeBron's staying.
Of course, LeBron's staying.
LeBron's gonna stay. He's gonna say, "I'm only gonna take $1 million a year, pay Giannis whatever he wants." Like, I'm telling you exactly what's gonna happen if that happens.
So that's always another thing with people taking less money. That's where it gets to be kind of,
stupid.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it's funny because I was playing 2K. Then we can go to our final thoughts. But I was playing 2K, and at the end of the year, they always ask you to vote on NBA rule changes. Which I know you were pretty. You were laughing because there were flagrant fouls in 2K. But just imagine at the end of a franchise year, they ask you to vote on NBA changes also. And one of the changes was to get rid of the salary cap.
Yes.
So that, actually, no, not the salary cap, the luxury tax, so that teams could go over, basically getting rid of the salary cap in a nutshell. And it was like a unanimous no. I think it was like, out of the 30 owners or whatever, 20-something owners, it was like, I would say 7-1 or 3-1, something like that, something ridiculous. But it was just like, could you imagine a league where the NBA operated like the MLB? LB?
then people will be complaining about, certain teams trying to beat the next New York Yankee. That's literally what's going to happen.
I mean, who does? Hopefully, everybody would have the opportunity to be the Yankees.
I see what you did there.
Hopefully,
Well, not
hopefully.
anyone. Every team can be the New York Yankees.
True,
I mean, hopefully we
true.
can get a certain person to come out of hibernation and deliver news for baseball before October.
This is true. This
But,
is true.
ladies and gentlemen, we are now at endgame. We're going to deliver our final thoughts. Doc, what is your final thoughts for the people this week?
So I think the only one that I have, college football, which is a long ways away. But the star of the national championship team, Tua. I'm just gonna say Tua. I'm not even gonna try that last name. You know,
Hilarious.
Tua. He has a thumb injury, so they're saying that the quarterback competition will be put on hold. And this is from the same team who's now having, rumblings of possibly Nick Saban planning his retirement soon. I did read a report or two that, he did, of course, denounce it. But um, how much more does Nick have to do? How much more does he have to prove? I
He's the
mean,
winningest college coach in history
yeah.
now.
Yeah, so I wouldn't blame him if he did, hang it up. That last throw, though, I just can't even get over it. Poor Georgia. Poor Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those
Literally
those dirt.
back to back. That happened, then the miracle in Minneapolis happened too.
It really did. Wow, what
Literally the
a
same weekend, in fact.
yes, what a crazy weekend of football. But hopefully, marking out, happens soon, and we'll hear about Daniel Bryan, being cleared. I thought that was pretty big. And here, my last final thought, even though I only had one just popped up on my screen here. Dwight Howard has a 30-30 game. I imagine he took the Russell Westbrook approach. Hey, don't touch that rebound. I got it.
I mean, he doesn't really need to tell people that, but I get what you're saying because that is definitely some shade there.
Mr. Triple Double.
I can understand that.
Sometimes it's either Russ or Sonny in Philadelphia. Or in his case, Charlotte.
I'm gonna go into my final thoughts now.
Please.
Pissant. God.
Sometimes you gotta mark out.
No, that's not marking. That's trolling, bro. I can't believe you did that to me. Why did you do that to me?
I don't know what you mean. You know what is a sneaky underrated signing of this offseason that people didn't really talk about? The Josh Sitton signing. Josh Sitton from the Bears to the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty sunny pick too. It's bright, has a bright future. Carry on, sir. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk about the weather.
Wow. Wow.
Tilt, ladies and gentlemen. Tilt.
Can't believe you said that. Can't believe you said
I mean,
that.
it was a good pickup. I don't know what you mean. I mean, he had a 30-30 game. I mean, the Dolphins picked up Josh Sitton. I mean, it's a big move. And sunny Florida.
Okay, I'm gonna go into my final thoughts. Speaking of signings, I don't know if you knew this, and I didn't announce it when it happened, but my boy Kenneth Bradley, left Evil Geniuses, one of the
Yes.
last of the original Evil Geniuses, to join Ghost Gaming. Uh,
You
Pretty big
mentioned him
news.
leaving, but you never mentioned where he went.
Yes, he signed in January. I forgot to announce it though, but I had to give a shout out to my boy K Brad, leaving Evil Geniuses to join Ghost Gaming.
Yeah, because that was the only piece. You did mention that he was leaving, but I think at the time it was so early, we didn't know where he was going, and we were just shocked that anybody would leave Evil Genius.
Yes. Also, final round 2018 happened this past weekend, and for Street Fighter 5, someone won.
Oh,
That
someone.
person is Doc Ocean's boy, the
Oh
guy who
God.
looks like a pissant, who Doc wants to go first to 10 with, Infiltration,
Wow. Wow.
beat the demon Akuma, aka Tokido, the Evolution 2017 champion, in the grand finals of Final Round 2018. I had the chance to watch this. In fact, that was probably the only one that I watched, but it was entertaining to watch. Infiltration is not using Nash, but to your delight. He's actually using a new character named Manat, and managed to beat the Akuma that destroyed the confidence of Punk for a while.
Mm.
Punk, speaking of Punk, tied for 17th place, along with Phenom, Punko, Fudo, Gamerby, Go One, who was like the big headline, well, the big story of the entire weekend as well too. Had a lot of really good sets with people. Kazunoko tied for ninth. Dogura tied for ninth. Momochi still with Echo. Well, actually not with Evil with Echo Fox. He tied for ninth. Knuckledew tied for fifth along with Nemo. I'm trying to see who else that that I could say. Filipino champ was 25th. Itabashi Zangief, which was a Zangief from Evo that you really enjoyed to watch, was tied for
Grief.
20. Yes, exactly, Zangief. Tied for 25th. Bonchan 33rd. Ramasama 33rd. Mago 33rd. Manad RD, who won Capcom Cup last year, ended up being in 33rd place. Daigo Umehara tied for 33rd. And Problem X also tied for 33rd. Shout outs to LPN. He had a really bad racket happening during the weekend. Apparently, people were enjoying popping off whenever he lost. So after he loses a set, people would pop off for it. So shout outs to him. Keep your head up. Keep your head up, brother.
So I see that Punk is still doing his best impression of Peyton Manning.
Oh my gosh. Please tell me you're not saying what I think you're saying.
I mean, I said this a while ago, and it seems like
No.
he's still,
No.
I mean, he's
He's
still good,
still the
but
top American in the world, though. Well, the top American in the nation, I'm sorry.
I mean, but can he win the big game before he hurts his hand or something like
We'll
Peyton Manning?
find out during Evo, which we will be streaming to
Yes.
watch. And we may actually I might do some hosting from it during the actual tournament. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's gonna be interesting.
But that's all I have, sir. Tonight's track is from Bop Alloy, who is Substantial and Marcus D. We played a couple of tracks before. The name of the track tonight It's from their Presence EP in 2016. That's the album release year. The name of the track is called Better to Give, featuring Precious Gilbert. Make sure you follow the links in the YouTube video to check out more of their music. Their music is bumping. And we're always going to support these underground artists, people who are trying to make it. And of course, Substantial, you already know who you are. Mad props to you, man. And also, check out Marcus D's newest album, Retroid 2. We played one of his tracks from his brand new album last week. So check out last week's episode. Get the links from there. Check out his music. But, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you tonight for joining us. We definitely appreciate it. Make sure you leave a comment, hit that like button, hit subscribe. If you're listening to us on our Google Play Music site, make sure you subscribe to us there. Subscribe to our iTunes channel as well too. We're also on SoundCloud. Make sure you follow us on there as well. We're very active in social media, so if you write anything, we will be fast and furious to reply back to you.
Maybe even troll.
Well, I mean, we only do that for the marking out crowd because, you know, wrestling is just so much fun to troll people. AKA, you look so good to me. But, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to bid you adieu. I am the Professor John Gotti. And that is Doc Ocean. We'll catch you every single Wednesday night right here on YouTube. Catch us each and every single week. Also catch our wrestling podcast, Marking Out Amongst Friends, every single Thursday evening, every Thursday per week. As he talks about WWE, Jay Rich, and as we're leading to the road to WrestleMania. As well as check out the Duke's podcast, Duke It Out, every other Sunday. It should be an episode this Sunday where he talks about the hot topics, including politics for you, the people. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you around. Same podcast time, same podcast channel.
Taste the ocean.
And good night. Bang!
F all the nonsense that preceded. Be it from me, your partners, please stop it and don't repeat it. Never gave a fuck until the fuck is what I needed. Young, dumb, and conceited till the day I conceded. It's easy to be the selfish type until you get deleted. Many head back to the space cause life lessons had gone unheeded. Like father, like son, I'm on my MJ, I'm gon' beat it. Won't remain seated, stand for those who can and feel defeated. I know that you see it, you just too cold to get heated. You're on some worry about me shit and you got your reasons. And I know why, cause the real heroes don't make C-No, so get love till they die. You can think of better shit to do with your time, and I don't blame you.
They say it's better to give, no matter how righteous you live. Treated like we're worthless, but still somehow walking on purpose, strong and proud. They say it's better to give, no matter how righteous you live. Treated like we're worthless, but still somehow walking on purpose, strong and proud.
I can't promise you heaven, the larger prophets of Villa out in St. Thomas, so even offer you solace. Surely no goddess with a rack of booty that's flawless. Maybe that would motivate all us while attracting droves of the thoughtless. If you are able, journeys painful, watching fables and lies. Even less ungrateful, but an angel will fly. Even though it seems the wind up under your wings ain't it supply. Elevate or die, can't tell me the sky is not mine, won't try. I rise, are you a giver or receiver? Either rapist or rapey, given a choice, so would be either. But a victim of such hatred more than likely isn't neither. An advocate to stand with them when no one will believe them. You see them. If I were to care this much about fame and fortune that's giving back, it's probably fair for all us to say I just might have had the black. Or maybe that there is bullshit couldn't be further from the facts. But I'm out here giving support wherever they lack. Facts, some of y'all be hitting me up like you trying to help the cause. Then I hit you back and Bammers won't answer the call. And I ain't mad, no, but I hope you never know the pain they have.
They
Not
say
at
it's
all.
better to give, no righteous you live. Treated like we're worthless, but still somehow walking on purpose, strong and proud. They say it's better to give, no matter how righteous you live. Treated like we're worthless, but still somehow walking on purpose, strong and proud.
Those capable of more, they say more is required. Never wanted much, blessed with more than I desire. You wanna make a difference or you rather make a profit? Or both, remember there's a glutton or a prophet. Give it if you got it, if you got it, give again. Give it if you got it, if you got it, give again. I say give it if you